so let's see. Good morning. Just need to figure out that everything is working here. Okay, so that is also in order. Let me just see. Yeah, lovely. So definitely we are online. That is already good news. Yeah, there are no comments until now. Let me just see if there are some people in there. Okay, so let's see. Let me just start. I'm wrapped in a blanket here and I have a nice warm coat. We have, I think, 12 degrees at the moment. Yes, there's snow in the berg here, so it is a little bit chilly. Yeah, but my office is getting warm. I have a heater here, so that is in order. What are we doing today? I want to today talk about offtake agreements and how to obtain them. That's always a question I'm also asked in my consultation, and so I thought then I'm sure it is interesting for a few of you. So let's maybe just start first of all. Who am I? Who is Funding Connection? Funding Connection is a private consulting firm, and we assist companies accessing loans and grants. We do that by drafting professional business plans. We do the financial forecast. We also can assist with feasibility studies, with company profiles, with pitch decks, whatever you may need to be able to then raise the company, to raise capital, to grow your company or start. Yeah. My name is Dagmar Breiling-Marie. I'm here the CEO at Funding Connection. You can hear that. I'm from Germany. I'm always trying to hide my accent, but I don't know how to do that. So, okay, I've done similar things in Germany. I worked there at an economic development corporation and assisted companies in that area to have access to German funds and grants and also to European ones. Yes, and then when I came here into South Africa, I don't know, 17 years ago or something like this, people said, oh, you are able to do that, can't you help me? And that's how I got into it. Yes, we do that now really professional for over 10 years and raised a couple of billions. We have a high success rate of 80% and we are picky with who we take on. Yeah, so I am absolutely straightforward from the beginning, saying this will be challenging. Or I also say, okay, if you have this in place, it will be easy to raise the capital for you. Okay, let me just see if you can just send me some questions. You always have the possibilities to go into the questions and feel free to ask me whatever you need. If maybe you also can just tell me where you are from, where you're listening from. Sorry. If you are a startup or if you are an expansion, so that it's a little bit fun for both parties here. And I'm more than happy to answer questions. Okay, I can't see any questions or any comments here on my side. Let me just go into Facebook and see what's happening there. Okay, lovely, good morning. Okay, now I see some comments. Zabello, good morning. Norma, good morning. Bongini, good morning. Nkati is a startup. Cosi, guten Morgen. Johan is a startup, lovely. Okay, so let's see. And there are 25 people in there. On this other page, I thought I'm just talking to myself. So let's start with in general. Okay, so what do financiers want to see? I'm always like to see what do they want, and then we can talk about how are you able to achieve that. If you want to start a business and you need to prove that you have its own called access to the market. For me, I always thought, what do you mean with it? Everybody has access to the market. No, what they want is they want usually offtake agreements. Offtake agreements is an agreement and it's not binding. Please be aware of that, between two businesses. Yeah, you can't have an offtake agreement with the private household. That would not work. So don't worry if you are not in the business to business, but you are selling to consumers. Then you can have a feasibility study, and sometimes I just turned a little bit around the business setup and said, there was somebody, let me just talk about examples so that you have a little bit of an idea. I remember we had somebody who wanted to open a crash, and she said, yes, there are lots of business around it, and all these parents need daycare for their kids, and it would be nice for them to have that around the corner of the business. So, and her idea first was, okay, that is a business to consumer transaction. My idea was, why don't you talk to all the businesses, and the business will give you offtake agreements confirming that they have parents, they're working for them, and that they want to keep them, and maybe even subsidize or pay in full for daycare and childcare. Yeah. All of a sudden, we turned the business around, and her chances to raise the capital increased dramatically. That's what we're trying here to do. Yeah. That's why I'm also careful with which transactions we are taking on. I'm always straightforward with you, telling you I see some challenges there, and I always mention that also in my one-on-one meetings. My job is to highlight the challenges. My job is not to sugarcoat everything and say, easy, we can do that, no worries. You know, that's not how I am working. I said, please be aware, this is what expected from the applicant. Yeah. So we've spoken about now business to business transactions, and then you remember there are three. There's an offer. What is a letter of intent? It says, okay, so I'm interested in working together with this person. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Yeah. Because there is no commitment really, there is no unit price mentioned, there is no quantity mentioned, there is no quality mentioned, you know, so, and it is definitely not strong enough, it shouldn't be strong enough for yourself to even take that risk and jump into this business opportunity, but it's definitely not strong enough also for financiers. They would have trouble with it. On the other end, you remember there is the order stating, I want 1,000 tons of, I don't know, fertilizer for 100 Rand per, for 1,000 Rand per ton. I have no idea about the prices, I'm just making them up, okay? And I want that on the, delivered on the 1st of August. And now you're in trouble because there's a start-up, or even if you want to expand and you don't have the equipment in place, you can't deliver on the 1st of August. Yeah. There are some ways around it. You just use some competitors, you know, so if this is the easiest way for you to do, then you just play a wholesaler with a small little margin just to be able to have a foot in the door. But these are then all strategic decisions you can make on your way to your own business. Yeah? So, and that's why in between we have the offtake agreements. It says as soon as company ABC is ready, we will use them. We will buy from them 1,000 tons for 100 rand a ton, and we need that quantity per month. And you know already 1,000 tons, 100 rand a ton. You have a good idea how much is your sales, and then we can even do calculations. Yeah. What I always recommend, I see there are a couple of questions. Let me just finish my train of thoughts, and then I definitely will go through there. Yeah. If you say now, okay, so I'm a startup, doesn't matter, or you want to expand, or you want to diversify, maybe, you know, so you say this is your core business, but I also want to start something else. Maybe usually you do that diversification and have a look that you supply the same customers with something different. Yeah. So, and then you can, as a startup, you just make a list of who do you want to approach. And my suggestion is always the ones you really want, you put them at the end. Yeah, and don't think you only need to do 1 or 2 or 3 meetings. It's not going to happen like this. If you're lucky, yes, but usually there need to be 20, 30, 50 people maybe on your list you need to approach. Ask around, ask your friends, ask your family, ask your network if somebody knows somebody in this industry. Yeah, because you need exactly, I need a purchaser from, I have no idea, from retail businesses who I can approach to sell my product to. And then you have the list, contact details, and then you can easy now these days set up Zoom calls with them. And I would highly recommend you put the ones you really want at the end of the list. And the ones you say, okay, so it would be nice if I get them, but the ones I really want to work with are at the end of the list. Because each and every time you're having a meeting, you maybe have a company profile to show, you maybe have a company proposal to share. You set up Zoom meetings and say, this is what we offer. Is this interesting for you? And then you listen. You listen what they are asking you. You listen what they are concerned about, and make sure you ask all the questions. What do you expect from a supplier? What would make you change your existing suppliers? Maybe ask them, are you happy with your existing suppliers? Yeah? So that and if somebody says, hey, we are really, really happy, we are committed, we have a 2-year agreement with them, you say, okay, that's great. Let me just make a note. I definitely will come back in 1.5 years, and then we can discuss this again. And then you know already, okay, you have somebody else in 1.5 years in your sales funnel. Yeah? And this way you are easily able to find out, okay, so they are not happy with the deliveries, or there is lots of breakage when it's delivered because the packaging is not sufficient, or they are not reliable. I have no idea, you know, so listen to what they say, make notes. Would I change my whole business setup if there's only one person giving me some concerns? No, because that can be really individual. That's why you need to have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 meetings. Yeah? Because then you can listen and say, 10 people are saying this. Okay, that looks like it's a concern in this industry. Yeah? And if there's only one person complaining about the color of the outside package, then you say, okay, so that if you haven't made up your mind in this regards, you can maybe take that into consideration, but maybe it's not really relevant for the success of your business. Yeah? And then you can tell them, okay, this is what we want to do, this is what we had in mind, this is how our product will look like, this is what our service will look like. Find unique things, so maybe you are really experienced and somebody says, I need some small amendments regarding the fertilizer, I have no idea, chemical A in there, I prefer chemical B. And you say, yes, I understand, because I know, and that is not a problem. We are able to do that for you. We can do that individually. We can package for you individually. I have no idea, yeah? So in some cases, because I'm talking here about services and products, and it's such a wide variety where you can talk about, I'm just highlighting and want to share what options you are having, yeah? And if you then come to the ones you really, really want, you have heard already all the concerns, you have changed your company profile or your business proposal so that all their concerns are included, yeah? So, and it gives you also the confidence, you're not that nervous anymore, and you have a good idea what to expect in these meetings. And what happens is, in some cases, at the end somebody says, hey, that is interesting for me, I would like to work with you. And then you say, that's absolutely great. Okay, let me know, how many units do you need? How much do you pay at the moment? Is this price acceptable for you? Or this is our price, is this acceptable? I would never ever, as a startup, try to be the cheapest in the market. Yeah? Be average, because if you're the cheapest, people are also getting worried about your service and quality. Yeah? So don't do that. And this way, or you can even ask, hey, this sounds interesting for me. Can I have an offtake agreement from you? I can send you some suggestions how it could look like, if they say, I don't even know how to write that. Yeah? This way you are able to get them. It's not somebody will knock on your door, and nobody will knock on your door even if you have set up your manufacturing, your processing plant. Yeah? That is definitely an illusion. I know everybody is telling me, oh yes, and people say, I first want to see the product. These are excuses. They will never ever give you an offtake agreement. South Africans are a little bit strange. They can't say no. Yeah? So they always find excuses. Do Germans do that too? Yes. But Germans have not really a problem to say, no, this is not for me. Yeah? The majority, let's say that, and here in South Africa it's the majority, they have a problem to say no, so you always need to read between the lines and say, okay, it looks like it's not interesting for you, is there anything, and then you ask, is there anything what we could change to make it interesting for you? And in some cases they can say yes, because this is what I'm expecting, I want, I don't know, pink packages and not the green ones you're suggesting. Then you say, oh, that's great, that's not a problem, we can do that. Is this now better for you? Yeah. Keep in mind with negotiation, whoever asks questions is in control of the negotiation. If you're sitting there and just waiting what your client is asking you, they are then in control. Yeah. And you want to have these meetings to be on the same level. Yeah, you don't want anybody to be above the other one. It needs to be we are supplying you a great product, we are supplying you an absolutely great service, we are helping you. Yeah. Okay, so that is my things what I said. Okay, so now Roderick, what businesses are you into? Okay, so I'm sure what you want to know, who do we consult? We are consulting every industry we assume that the applicant is the expert in this industry, and we do that because the financiers expect that in any case. Yeah? Are we having in some instances some outside consultant? Yes, we can use that. We have somebody for agriculture. I think we have 2 or 3 in our books. We have some engineers. I have somebody regarding cannabis. I can at any time call who can guide me and give some input there and also assist you. It will be, of course, an extra charge, but usually, because we know financiers want that the applicant is the expert, we are concentrating on the business model. Does the business model make sense? There are 100 staff, but only 100 square meter of office. That makes maybe no sense, you know. So, or there is, I've seen all these funny things, you know, somebody says I have 50 staff and 100,000 rand salary and wages a month, you know. These are the things we are having a look at. I also had somebody who was manufacturing 2 units a day, but 60 staff. I said, what are they doing all, you know? And it wasn't a car, you know, so where now lots of people are able, even 60 people around one car wouldn't be possible, yeah? So these are the things we having a look at. We are benchmarking all the information you give us regarding your business model against the ones we had before, and then we highlight and say, there's a little bit less according to what other people are doing, and sometimes our clients said yes, but, yeah. So, and other times people say, I didn't think about this, okay, let's reduce that or increase that, yeah. Let me just go here. So, Terence, we are an existing business, 15 years, and have an extensive list of existing suppliers and customers. How to suggest we approach asking them to sign offtake agreements? Okay, Terence, I assume that you are trading and that you want to expand, yeah? So, and you can ask them, you know, and say, here, can we have some sort of agreements, and with an agreement of minimum sales per month, you can offer them some discounts, yeah? So, or you say, hey, we need to increase our prices, but if you sign some agreements with us, we can then keep the old price. Or I have, you know, so, or you give them some other added advantages, yeah? Nini, good morning. Okay, so let me see. What would funders question, Terence, again? We are in the tea business and serve B2B and B2C customers, mainly B2B. We are an extensive list of existing suppliers and customers. So you asked the question again. Okay. Terence, what would funders expect to be contained in an offtake agreement? In other words, how should it be drafted? It's nothing. It's you know, it's not a long contract. It's really 1, 2, 3 sentences about as soon as you are ready, or in your case, you don't even need an offtake agreement, but because they obviously are already buying from you. I'm not too sure, on a monthly base, on a yearly base, and you can ask them for proper contracts. I'm not too sure, Terence, what you really want to do, if you still want to do tea or if there's anything additional. Okay, I think you're suggesting incentives. I'm not too sure, I don't understand that question now. We are talking about offtake agreements, okay? And offtake agreements are definitely required for finance. Okay, yeah? And it's a short offtake agreement, is short and crisp, usually for startups. As soon as you're ready, we buy from you on a monthly basis. Like I said before, 1,000 tons, 400 rand a ton. And I don't know, and then be delivered or picked up by location ABC, you know, and if there is quality included, then you just say A grade or AA grade or whatever is relevant to your industry. Yeah, let me just have a look here. Yeah, there's nothing on that one. I'm not too sure. My challenge is there are lots of comments, but Nene, okay, we are in the manufacturing of chili pepper from a greenhouse to the red powder. Chili and ready really need funding to expand our business. Can you help? Yes, definitely. We are able to assist you. Nene, what I recommend, Terence, the same thing to you is you have two options. Go to our Facebook page, go under Messenger, and then message us and ask, and then Brent is on the other side and he is able to guide you and ask you all the right question. Okay, or you go to our website fundingconnection.co.za/contact. Okay, and there's also a couple of ways. There's a contact page, there's also a chat on our website, and Brent is able to guide you everywhere there. Hi, which is better, a startup offtake or a long arm? Oh, okay, a start is better for a startup. Offtake, yes, I would always say an offtake. I wouldn't recommend a contract, because a contract usually states that you need to start on a specific day. There's a one exclusion. If you want to go into transport, the financier expects a contract, because it also needs to see which between which locations, how much, usually they say how much they pay per ton between these two locations, and then it's our part to just fiddle around with the numbers. I can't say it other way around, and determine, okay, so how much is paid per kilometer to deliver, because you always need to think about, you go back empty with no payment, so the payment for the one direction is usually also for the return ticket. And so how much diesel you need, how long the driver will need, how many of these trips you are able to do. All these things is what we then do in the background, and sometimes also together with you. Yeah. Okay, pleasure, Terence. Sorry, I can't go back there. If there's anybody else who still had some questions, just please do me a favor, put them in again. I'm really sorry, but I see we have 42 comments. I definitely haven't answered all your comments. Simon, do you have a steel expert for drafting a feasibility study? Yes, we also have somebody like this. Somebody I'm able to contact if you need an engineer in this setup for your business. I'm always careful, keep in mind, whoever, when we use outside experts and engineers and advisors, they of course also are charging for their services. I'm always having a look, do we really need them or don't we? But if you are not the expert in steel, I'm not too sure what you want to do there. If it's steel construction, definitely something we have done before, and that will be not a challenge for us. Yeah. Wussi was that with the startup offtake agreement. Okay, any other questions here? It's moving around here. Let me just have a look. Okay, Ketzel, I have a startup chrome mining business and would like to ask if I have an offtake agreement and purchase order. Can I use those to source funding? Yes, yeah. So there are for mining, there are a couple of things that need to be in place. You of course need to have the mining rights, you need to have these offtake agreements, you have to have a purchase order, and you need to usually have also some sort of own contribution, yeah, to be able to raise capital. Sedan, a startup business in pyrolysis, waste to energy, how to draw up an offtake agreement. So you obviously want to sell energy. The question is to whom you want to sell the energy. Yeah. So that would be my question, and then C, either way you want to feed it back into the grid, then please do so. Help all of us. Talk to ESCOM. Offer them your services. Or maybe there are some businesses in your area, they want to use your electricity, or you do that in any of these industrial zones or big office parks. Yeah? Where you say, okay, so now we make sure we are independent from the grid. And there are lots of ways out there. Yeah, sometimes you just need to look a little bit outside of the box and see, okay, so this is not possible, so let's find plan B, plan C, plan D. And that's something what I definitely also really enjoy here in South Africa, that people are not stuck and say, okay, this is what I want to do, and if it's not working like this, then I'm giving up. They say, this is not working, okay, let me have plan B or C or D in place. Yeah? Okay, so your chance. Any other questions here? I'm waiting. I'm just having another sip of my warm coffee now. Okay, so offtake agreements, definitely critical for the and it's for the success of your business critical, yes? Because what we all do here at the moment, we just always have a look at, okay, I want to raise capital. What you really need to think about is you want to set up a profitable business, yeah? And these financiers are the first hurdle you need to overcome. I am aware of that. But usually what they want is usually things that you are become then a successful business. Yeah? What's the best way for an offtake agreement? Okay, Simon, what I would do is it depends on your personality. Okay, so like I said, what I would do is have a list of potential customers and clients, maybe have a company profile or a business proposal done, yeah? We can also assist you with this if you want that, but otherwise there are some videos out there from me also how to do a company profile or a company proposal. You can use the free software, it's called Canva.com. They have nice, it's free, please, and they have nice templates. And then you just think about what needs to be in there. If you say, oh, I don't know how to do these things, we are there for you. We're definitely able to assist you. Contact us, and we just can see what you really need. And it's usually easier to have them for you, yeah, not for the client. For you to have something in writing, and it guides you a little bit through the discussion, yeah. Sorry. So, and yes, and then just talk to everybody, speak to everybody. I'm looking for potential customers and clients. Do you know somebody who would be interested in this? And this is part of the sales job, yeah. LinkedIn for business to business is always usually a good way to find purchasers. And on there are a couple of ways to do that, and then set up meetings with them, and then one after the other. And like I said, don't think you only need to have 1, 2, 3 meetings. Yeah, prepare yourself for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 meetings. Yeah, And only because the first two or three say no, it does not mean that there is a no in general. You just need to ask why not. What is the challenge here? What must I do different so that it would suit you? And sometimes people say, we have agreements with the suppliers, we can't just swap around. Yeah? And still, I wouldn't give up. I would just say, okay, so what is important for you for the next presentation I do? What do you think I should include? Let me tell you, most people are more than happy to advise you and give you some tips. Most. Not everybody, I know that. There are still some crazy people out there, but most people, you ask them, they will tell you, okay, so your price is out of line, you need to deliver, you can't do that without delivery. Most of us, because they know each other in the industry, would expect delivery. Yeah? Okay, Deeps, what is a feasibility study? Okay. And there are always, all our webinars are still on Facebook. We always put them also on YouTube. So what I can tell you is a feasibility study. There are different feasibility studies. Okay, there is one about the profitability, definitely something we can assist you. There is a feasibility study about the legal aspects. Yeah. So one thing is, one of my team members said, why don't we set up a crowdfunding platform? I said, he said, I found lots of white label system, we can just plug into it. I said, that is great, but I'm sure there are some legal requirements. I found the legal requirements. I thought, that looks like a lot. I'm definitely not willing at the moment to put so much work into it. Yeah. So then there is, of course, also the technical feasibility study, that there are some engineers sitting and saying, does this make sense? Then there is maybe also for agriculture, so is the soil good enough for whatever you want to grow there? Yeah. Like I said, you think about having your banana plants grown in Germany. Is not going to happen. The climate is not suitable to grow banana plants. And so there are different feasibility studies. The ones we are definitely able in-house to do has everything to do with profitability. Yeah. If there's any technical, legal aspect included, we would need to add some outside resources. What in some cases specific for the agriculture, we have done that before. There were a couple of times also with engineers where we had some engineers included, but they needed a different feasibility study. First of all, they need to figure out if this is even working, yeah, before we could then go into the feasibility study, or somebody had the technical feasibility study done and we did then the profitability part of it. Yeah, I hope that answered your question, Deeps. Lovely. Okay, so 2211 again. Sabello, do you have experts in the aviation industry, more specifically for UAV drone solutions, who can assist in offtake agreements for startups and feasibility? Okay, let me tell you, experts will not be able to assist you with any offtake agreements. Yeah, because that is sales, and sales is what you need to do. If you as a business, if somebody as an expert is able to do the sales, please answer the question, why wouldn't they do that on their own? Yeah. So if you want for sales agreements and sales, you definitely don't need an expert. That is your job. For the feasibility study, for drone solutions, we've done that for drones, also for using drone for not fertilizing, for what's the other word? You need to fertilize and you need to fight the hoppos and nunus. So, and they use the drones also for spraying. So yes, we've done that. You don't really need an industry aviation expert to determine if a drone is flying or not. We know these things are flying, yeah, and you can use them for different things. And if it's not something out of the order, they usually are able also to tell you, okay, this drone can fly that high with that many kgs attached. Yeah. Johann, Bernhard, Pretorius. Thank you, Dagmar, very insightful. Have a great day. I have another meeting now. Please excuse me. I am excusing you. Crop spray. Yes, Sabella. Exactly. Against crocodile, so you knew what I mean. Okay, so yes, that's definitely something we have done before, and I know this is working. There are drones out there. You don't need an expert to confirm that these drones can do this. Yeah, you may need an engineer to be able to now, out of thin air, generate electricity, because this is now your idea. Yeah. Okay, lovely. Take good care, everybody. Sabello, pleasure. And either way, you can of course also book one-on-one meetings with me or some of my team members. We have a consultant in Cape Town, we have one in Pretoria, we have one in Benoni in Johannesburg, or with me here in Durban. You can also set up Zoom meetings with me. And then if you want to dive a little bit more deeper into any of your questions, we are definitely able to assist you. If you need some free advice or guidance, Brent is definitely, he is here with me for, I don't know, 5-6 years or something like this. He knows the first steps definitely really, really well. He is able to assist you, and he knows a little bit more than the first steps. What I'm talking nonsense here. Okay, so he knows our processes. He's able to do that. Okay, lovely. Pussy, pleasure. Nchachi said, thank you, pleasure. Bongiva says, thank you, pleasure. I know there were a couple of other people who said thanks. Thanks very much, pleasure. I'm just not able to see your name. Mbungeni, do I have an offtake agreement? Do I need it if I want to start a security business? Yes, you need to have a good idea who's your market and who will use your services. Otherwise, you set up an security business in an area and everybody says, we have somebody already, we don't want to swap. Yeah. These offtake agreements, for you it looks like it's the hurdle for the financier. For me, it's essential to start your business. Yeah, specifically if you want to raise capital and end of the first month, you need to repay them the first payment. Yeah, so this is why it is so important to you. You need to prove that you have some sort of access to the market. Yeah. Okay, Zinschle, pleasure. Take good care, everybody. Enjoy your week. I wish you an absolutely successful new week. And we definitely will talk latest next week, Monday again. Take good care. Karen, very insightful, much appreciated. Pleasure. Bye. Let me just see. Now I need to find the button. Here is my button. Take good care. Bye-bye.